Do you have the sanskar of gratitude? It's because most people in the world don't have that. And this, so first I want to underline that everything that we feel or experience is based on our sanskar. So there is not much to objective interpretation of reality. So it is what it is, but when you start interpreting it, it is always subjective. Yes, so when we say objective reality, it means, I don't know what it means, because objective reality is interpreted through a subjective soul. So I have my own sanskars, and when I look at a scene, a behavior, or anything, it is very subjective. How I experience it is very subjective. And I also want to talk about objective research in the world, because research is always done by people, and people are not objective. So every soul is pretty subjective, we have our own sanskars. And when a researcher also does a research, their own prejudices and biases and everything enters that research also, because that's ingrained in their filter. You can't help it. It's not like you're being biased or prejudiced in your own purpose. But we are not objective. Every soul is very subjective. Every soul has its own sanskars. And we see through the filter of our sanskars. And when I give the course, I always talk about sanskars as the chashma we are wearing. And just like if you have worn a green chashma, all you see will be green. Similarly, whatever is your sanskar, your reality always corresponds to your sanskar. And I think that we have so many sanskars, many divine sanskars, many natural original sanskars of the soul have worn out in this journey of 84 births, and then many different sanskars given by Ravan we are using right now. And one of the sanskars that has worn out is the sanskar of gratitude, or the sanskar of appreciating what is, or appreciating the value of what you've got. Yes, and this is why if you look at the world today, everybody has more than they had 10 years back. But they feel emptier and they feel they have lesser. Yes, so the emptiness inside is more, whereas the acquisition outside is more. So you're having more, but then you're feeling emptier. And that's because of also, this quality of not having gratitude. So, I was talking to this woman the other day, and she said that my father complains about the house help every day. And he has lots of complaints about the house help, that he doesn't cook properly, doesn't help in this or that, or doesn't do this thing timely or that thing timely. And then she said that, Didi, according to me, in these times, the way the house help he has got is fantastic. Like, he's really good. And when I go there, I have a lot of appreciation, because I live in the US and we don't get house helps there, or they're very highly priced. And then also considering the sanskars of that help, he's very nice and he really takes care and he serves from the heart. But then my father is always complaining, and I'm always afraid that this person will also run away like others and then again he will be in trouble. But then how do I tell him, Didi, that he's good and good enough? So I said, you see that if he doesn't have the sanskar of gratitude, he cannot appreciate something until he loses it. So that's the sanskar we have developed. And no amount of logic or no amount of convincing applies to this sanskar. So if somebody doesn't have the quality to appreciate something, you tell them, you give them 5 reasons stating that they are ungrateful, and they will give you 10 reasons that they are very grateful and they are right in their place. So that's how it works. Now you see that we come to Baba with these same sanskars. So in the Murli today, Baba says that you were Sato Pradhan and now you are Tamo Pradhan. So you have had the journey from the best to the worst. Yes, so Baba says that, and Baba also uses the example of Ajamil, and Ajamil has been referred to in the scriptures, and in the scriptures it is said that Ajamil was a Brahman and then he went into vicious activity and then he married and had too many children, and still, so let me give you the story properly. So Ajamil was a Brahmin, and then one day he saw a lustful activity and that inspired lust in him, and then he thought of getting married, and then he got married and he had many children, and he became totally vicious, and he became ordinary from a Brahmin. But then he had this this remains of his Brahmin instinct that I am a devotee of God. So he named his children after the names of deities, and he named one child Narayan and other children also similar names. And then he, at the time of his death, he was calling out to his son. He was calling out Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. And he was calling out to his son out of attachment. But at that time, the Yamdoots were coming to take him, and there were also the Doots of Narayan passing that way. And then the messengers of Narayan thought that he is calling out to our Lord, so we must help him. So then they helped him, whereas he was not even calling out to God. So this is a story in Bhakti about Ajamil. Now you see that this is a very interesting reference, because Ajamil chose to be vicious. He was pure and pious, and then he chose to be vicious. And he had also forgotten his piety, or he had almost forgotten who he was, or what was his purity and what was his viceless state. But still, the punya that he had earned in his life as a Brahmin helped him in his final moments, because he just took the name of Sri Narayan. So that's the story. Now Baba tells us that you were a deity and then you became very tamopradhan. Yes, and you got all the wrong sanskars that Ravan gave you, and you were very vicious. But still, because you were a deity, and because you were helpers of Baba in the last cycle, you will get something, in this birth, which will help you again transition from a human to a deity. Yes, and do you realize that Brahma Baba was a jeweler, but for a jeweler he was very wise, and he also had the resources to create the yajna. And Brahma Baba is supposed to be the first soul, and he's also supposed to be the last one. So in that sense, he must be pretty tamopradhan. But then in this birth, he had the sanity, the buddhi, the resources to create the yajna. And when Shiv Baba came, he could participate hand in hand with Shiv Baba because of these things. And Baba says that is a gift you get in the drama, so that you can again transition from a human to a deity. So one thing you must understand is that whatever we have today is designed in the drama so that we can use it for spiritual development and seva, and again create a kingdom for ourselves. Do you understand that? It's not a product of your effort, it's a product of your destiny. So, there are so many people making so much effort, but then it's because you are a deity soul and it is time for you to become a deity soul again. So for this transition, you require many things. You require assets which help you in Swaseva, in your own spiritual endeavor, and assets which help you in Vishwa Kalyan. And Baba says that all that has been designed very cleverly in the drama so that it helps you to transition from an ordinary human to a deity. Do you get the point? Yes. And I always had this thought, when I was growing up, I understood things better than most people. And I had more common sense than, common sense is very uncommon. So the common sense, it's very common sense that this should be told to this person, or this is how a work should be done, or this is how this should be organized, or this is how you should keep your views or your opinions. So this was there, and also the discernment between good and bad, right and wrong was there. So but most people struggled with that, and I always felt that this is by default. You cannot train yourself for that. These are some things that you cannot develop, but this was a gift, and I really always had gratitude that I didn't know Baba, I didn't know drama, but I had a lot of gratitude, and I always told my Lokik father that, you know, if somebody doesn't have buddhi, they can't help it. And if you have a good buddhi, you must be very grateful, because this buddhi can only be a gift. You know, intelligence also can be sharpened, but this quality to discern and decide well, this quality to differentiate between good and bad, right and wrong, this quality which makes you figure out, you know, how to do, what to do, when to do, how much to do, this is not something you can train yourself into. And although after Gyan, I understand that you can train yourself into that through the power of purity, because it is connected with purity. But earlier it was impossible in Lokik life. So I used to have a lot of gratitude for this buddhi, that, you know, it sets you on the right path, and somehow it signals you that, you know, you don't go that way, that's not okay for you, this is the path. So, and similarly, you know, and I think that this is the biggest gift in Sangam Yuga. And I don't think that we must have had it in the last birth also. Yes, because it was pretty Tamo Pradhan. We have had this journey from Sato Pradhan to Tamo Pradhan. So maybe I didn't have it in the last birth, but this birth Baba gives you. This birth Baba gives you many things. Just like, you know, Ajamil by error, you know, got saved by the Narayan ke Doot. Similarly, we get saved, or we get a lot of assets by default in this Sangam Yuga. And those assets are a good buddhi first, and then many other things, you know, the way your buddhi is designed to figure out this is Baba, this is amazing, because most people don't understand this is Baba. Or, you know, the buddhi to realize that you are a soul, and the buddhi to understand that yes, there is a future for which you have to work in the present. So, you know, most people ask, who has seen Satyug? So even we have not seen Satyug, but we understand that, you know, just like this is Kalyug, there is Satyug also, and then we must do something in the present to create that future. So all this is a matter of a gift that Baba has given you, or drama has given you, just like the story of Ajamil. And then Baba says that we have got buddhi, we have got abilities, we have got resources, and don't think that it's just because, you know, it's for you to make merry. So all this is given to us in the drama so that we can use it for spiritual effort, and we can also use it for seva. So realize this and go along. And then Baba says that the biggest gift that you get right now is the knowledge that Baba gives you, the virtues that Baba gives you, and every virtue is a power in itself. So, you know, there is the quality of peace and the power of peace, the quality of happiness and the power of happiness. So, Baba says that I am giving you the formula to purity, to peace, to happiness, to bliss. I am giving you the knowledge through which you can become peaceful, loveful, blissful. And Baba says you must have a lot of gratitude for this, and you must appreciate the value of what you're getting. Do you understand that in this world, people who are physically very endowed are struggling for one moment of peace? And here we have the ocean of peace giving us the knowledge to be peaceful every single second. And Baba says you must have a lot of intoxication of all that you have got, you know, in terms of the subtle resources, the subtle powers, abilities, and the physical resources that Baba has given you, put it into seva so that you understand that it is for you to become a king by creating a kingdom, by investing these resources. And Baba says you must also have the intoxication that you're very rich. So if you really calculate your subtle assets, you're very wealthy. It's wealthier than the wealthiest in the world. And Baba says you should have the intoxication of being that wealthy and the contentment and happiness that follows from that intoxication should be there. So this is something that Baba talks about in the blessing today. And then Baba says that Baba also talks about broad and unlimited intellect. And Baba says that in order to prove that the deep things of knowledge are correct, have a broad and unlimited intellect and explain very tactfully. It is said, kill the snake but do not break the stick. Yes, so in Hindi it is said, saap bhi mar jaye aur lathi bhi na toote. So Baba says that first thing is, for seva you need a broad and unlimited intellect. Yes, so you must understand the value of seva through thought, word and action. Do you understand the value of seva? Sometimes I will tell you one thing. So when I was working in the office, I had a colleague, and one day there was a big program, a big pradarshini in Delhi, and I told him, you come with me, I will take you to the pradarshini, you see what we are doing. And he went there with me, and he was just looking at all the stalls, and he was looking at everybody making immense effort, to explain to souls that you are a soul and God has come and it is time for shift. And then after 5 stalls, he told me, Madam, should I tell you something? Because he called me Madam, I was his colleague. So I said, yes, tell me. So I said, I think you people are wasting a lot of time and energy, and I really don't see any point in this, because do you think these people will go home and remember what you're telling them and they will really appreciate the effort you're putting into it? So I said, I don't know, but you are appreciating it. You are able to see the effort. You have been convinced enough to come here, and you are listening very intently to what they are saying, and you are also realizing how much of effort and zeal and enthusiasm has been put into this work. And if you are appreciating it, I have hope that everybody will. And then he said, yes, I am appreciating it, but, so I said, there is no but. Why do you think that if you are appreciating it, other people will not? So you must have the hope that this work will be fruitful, and then other people will realize the value of the gyan which is being given. So you see that when you do seva is a very slow process, and you should have a lot of vision. If you have a broad and unlimited intellect, only then can you see Satyug being created through the baby steps you are taking today. So do you see that? Do you understand that when a house is built or a palace is built, it starts with one stone, one brick at a time. But then while placing that brick, that mason has to have the vision of the palace. And if he doesn't have the vision of the palace, he cannot put that one brick right. And without that, the palace cannot be built. So Baba says, when you do Ruhani Seva, you must understand that everything, when you speak the truth, when you speak knowledge, when you do Mansa Seva, even when you just sit in Baba's remembrance, that's shifting the world. You must have that broad and unlimited intellect, because even in the world, people who earn money are visionaries. If you invest in something today, it doesn't give you a return today itself. But if you have the right vision, you will invest in something today which will become very big in 3 years, 4 years, and then you will reap the benefit. And similarly, Baba says, don't be very short-sighted in this seva. Everything you do matters. I remember there was this one person in my office, and she was in the management, and then administration, big post she had, and then there was this one sister in the class in office, and she used to just take every Thursday bhog to her. She told me that, Didi, I want to take bhog for her every Thursday. And she used to offer bhog, like she used to contribute for the bhog, and she used to take that bhog for her. And she used to always invite her. And then and she never came. That lady whom she invited never came. And it was 2 years. And then one day somebody asked her, why do you go and give her bhog every Thursday when she doesn't come ever? So you should stop, it's been quite some time. But then, this girl was sick for 1 month and she didn't come for the class. And at that time, that lady came looking for her. And she came and she asked me, do you conduct the BK class here? So I said, yes. So she said, every Thursday I receive bhog. This Thursday I didn't receive bhog. So what is the matter? So I said, that girl who used to serve you, she's not here. So then she came and sat and she undertook the course and she took Gyan also. So that this, for seva, you need to have very unlimited broad intellect. You cannot be impatient. You cannot look at, instant returns. And you also have to, when we talk about broad and unlimited intellect, it also means understanding the power of subtle effort. It's not like only what they said or how they responded or what you said or how they behaved or you behaved matters. But when you do seva, the consciousness you are in, your attitude, your feelings, your vibrations, your good wishes, they matter a lot. And you should understand the value of the subtle effort that you make, and also have the vision that even if, today it's a baby step, Baba's seva is going to materialize, and this seva can only grow and be successful. There is no other solution to it. So Baba says that do seva with this kind of an attitude. And when the center in Saket started, so we were only 2 people, I and Santoshi. So obviously nobody came in the beginning, so it took time. So at that time, I used to sit on the seat one day, and Santoshi used to sit in the audience, and I used to speak the Murli in the mic in the same way as I would talk to 1,000 people. And then the next day, Santoshji would do the same, and I would sit in the audience. And then this is how the seva started. And then one person, second person, third, there were footfalls. And then today the seva is big, and we have online seva also and everything. So Baba says that you should have a very broad intellect. And when we say broad intellect, the power of subtle effort and believing that whatever effort you're making today will yield fruit in the future. And you should be able to see the fruit, believe in it. And then Baba says you should be very tactful also. Yes, because see, the truth is very different from the faith that people have today. Yes, so there are two things, truth and faith. And these days, people don't have faith in the truth, and the truth is very forgotten. So Baba is telling us the truth, which is very different from the faith that people have. But people are very attached to their faith also. So your duty is to pull them out of their faith and bring them to the truth. But then you have to be very tactful and gentle in that. Yes, because if you're very upfront and outright in that, then you might hurt sentiments. Yes, and let me tell you one very simple example. So, I'm not even talking about big beliefs like whether Sri Krishna is God or not, because I was not too much into devotion, so those things didn't matter to me. But when I came into Gyan, I had been brought up with the belief system that the karmic accounts of a husband and wife is joint account. So, we have a joint account. The karmic account is joint. And then I always, so this was a belief system. This was the faith. And then I used to always tell that, okay, when you are making effort, I am also getting the fruit. Okay, so, and if I am being cooperative, that's good enough. But then when I was introduced to this knowledge that the karmic account is separate, no joint karmic account. So even if you are a couple, even if you are a husband and wife, what you do is your karma. What the other person does is his or her karma. So if I worry for you, then I am spoiling my karmic account. Yes, and then not that if I worry for you, then it will not go into bad karma because I am doing my Stri Dharam and all of that. So we had these confusions about our dharam as a mother will not come into conflict with our dharam as a soul. So as a mother, whatever I think is good will always be good, or as a wife, whatever I think is good will always be good, because that's my Stri Dharam. Or about this karmic account also I had a lot of confusion. And then it really was an effort to think of yourself as an individual soul on an individual journey. But the one who gave me the course was very gentle. So the way they pulled me out of my beliefs was very loving and gentle. And that's why I never felt like I'm losing on something. I always felt I'm getting a big Brahmin family. So I never had this feeling that I'm getting detached. I always had this feeling that my family has grown and I have more people in the Brahmin family than I ever had. So these are, Baba says that you have to tell the truth also. And for seva, you have to be very broad intellect. You have to have a broad intellect, be very unlimited in your intellect, and also be very tactful, because the snake needs to be killed, but then the stick needs to remain intact. So it's not like you don't speak the truth has to be spoken. Souls have to be pulled out of their darkness of ignorance, but then you have to do it lovingly, gently, and not get very hasty about it, and be very tactful about it. And then so I have a method for this tact, and I will share it with you. So if somebody is very adamant about something, I don't reject them. I say, okay, let's do it your way. And then I start talking about how you proceed in your way, and then they suddenly realize that it's a dead end. And then I tell them, okay, now I'll give you the alternative. Are you ready to listen it out? So that's a very good tact. Now let me give you an example. There was a couple that came to the center almost 8 years back, I'm talking about. And they said that we believe in Sri Ram. So we are Sri Ram Bhagats. And here you are telling us that we have to think about Nirakar Shiv. So we don't like that. So why can't I just keep believing in Ram? Why do I have to shift to Shiv? Okay. So I said, okay, let's take your belief about Sri Ram and let's proceed that way. So now, according to the path that Sri Ram showed you, so the wife was there, and I asked, will you abandon everything and go to the jungle with him if he wants you to accompany him that way? So will you just leave everything and just follow him everywhere he goes and everything he does? Let's say he has a relocation today and that place is not good for your job. Will you go there regardless of everything? So she said, no, I'll think about it. So, or I said, if he is doubtful about you, if he has doubts on you, so will you walk on the fire and prove that he has doubts about you and that's not okay? So she said, no, I'll say you are out of your mind and you must change the way you're thinking. So I said, then where are you following the Ramayana? Or I asked the brother, will you blindly follow whatever your father says? And if you say yes, I'm going to call your father and ask him to tell you to do all bizarre things. So he said, no, I cannot blindly follow what my father said. But I said, but according to the scripture, Sri Ram did exactly that. So why don't you do that? So he said, no, that's not okay. And that was a different time and that was a different value system. So I said, now you are yourself telling me that we need a different value system right now. So we need a different path. So that's why we are suggesting a new path to you. And then he said, okay, now it makes sense. So then he started listening. So, when somebody is asking you something, you also start thinking about why you think they cannot proceed that way. You cannot just say, no, that's not what Baba said, so you just change your thought. No. You start also thinking about what if they continue to believe what they are believing, what is the loss in that? Or what is it that will not be attainable to them in terms of strength or virtues or qualities if they proceed in that way? And then you start explaining to them tactfully. So that's how it goes. And don't be in haste. If the relationship is intact, they will come back tomorrow. You can explain the remaining tomorrow. So don't get very hasty about it. So that's there. And also today, Baba is talking about the quality of patience. And Baba says that in the end, this virtue of patience will help you. Now, what is patience? Patience is waiting with hope and faith and positivity. Yes. So, you see that the drama is ever changing. One scene goes, another scene comes. But you have to practice having faith that the scene that is coming will be good and beautiful. And whatever is in the present scene, you can't help it too much because that is written by the past. Okay, so it is what it is. And if you have hope and faith and positivity that what this scene is leading to is a beautiful scene, then you will be able to pass this scene, cross this scene in a good state of mind. And this is something, and I think that we are always waiting. So, most of our time is spent waiting because we can do very little in the present moment. Yes, and most of the time the present moment is giving us chills about the future. So, whenever you are in a present moment, you do the needful, and then whenever the thought about the future comes, you develop the habit of having faith and hope and positivity about the future. And this is a very deep practice you have to enter into. And when you practice this, the quality you develop is patience. And in the final moments, when there is the scene of destruction and it's really a gory scene and it's not beautiful or charming at all, at that time, this quality of patience will help you and you will be able to stay stable and calm and very hopeful in those scenes. And at that time, when everybody is losing themselves, they will see that what is it that is allowing you to stay intact and hopeful in such a scene, and that's how Baba will be revealed. So Baba talks about this quality of patience. Develop this. It's a very big quality and it needs to be developed, it doesn't come naturally. It has to be developed. So patience is having hope, faith and positivity in every passing second. Okay. And while doing the needful, because if you don't do the needful, then it will sabotage your hope because you have not done the needful. So what will, break all your pseudo beliefs and bring you into reality. So while doing the needful, and you have to take care of that which you cannot help, and in that case you have to move with hope, faith and positivity rather than fear, doubt and concern. Okay, so that's how it goes. The Murli has many points and you go through them, and I also want you to make a list of what are the new points of knowledge that Baba wants us to explain tactfully to others. So Baba has mentioned many new points of Gyan which Baba gives, which people are not aware of. So make a list of all those and think about how tactfully you can bring them to understand this. Okay, what are the ways and methods, what are the points you can speak through which people can understand this, and have a vision, do seva and understand that whatever you have got is precisely for this. It's not for accumulation, it's not for feeding your ego, it's not for sensual pleasure, it is for spiritual effort and seva.